Hi there everybody, it's Cassie, and today we are going to be talking about PhotoTools. I brought this up in past videos a long time ago, but I figured it was a good time for a refresher. There's a few different ways that you can access PhotoTools. You can get it from your toolbar, from going to the toolbar options and grabbing the PhotoTools option and dragging it to your toolbar side menu. You can also go to Quick Preferences right here, and then you can also go to Avatar, Preferences, and I believe no, I think it's in World, and then you can do Environment Editor, Environment Settings, which this one I feel like is the least detailed. Then goes the Quick Preferences, and I feel like the Photo Tools option right here has the most options. But I wanted to show you how easily you can make a photo come to life compared to just a normal win light just messing with this basic part, and that is in Edit Sky preset. If you also want to make your own preset to save for future use, click New Sky preset. Wind lights will be different if you're in a skybox versus on the ground level, so keep that in mind. These will not look the same if you're on the ground compared to if you're up. I'm almost 3,000 feet up high, so it'll be different depending on where you are on the land. So I would make different wind lights depending on where you mainly like to take your photos. But since I mainly like to take mine up in the air, I'm going to use Edit Sky's preset, and I'm going to make this for myself in the air. Now this is my favorite wind light to use as a base wind light to start with, and it's Anna Adored Realistic Ambient. I'm using Firestorm Release on here, and there is an update for it, so I will show you guys how to do that later. But for now, I want to show you how you can edit your photos in Firestorm, or have the nicest quality wind light in Firestorm. Another really good thing to look at in your photo tools is to make sure you have your enabled advanced lighting model on, have your local lights on, and I don't use face lights, but I still keep that on. You want your shadow types to have sun, moon, plus projectors as long as your computer can handle it, as well as your avatar shadows being complex. Now this is where it gets tricky, because the higher your shadow resolution is, it'll get extremely laggy. So it'll have more detail in your shadows, but it'll be very hard to move your camera. So I like to keep mine around here. I feel like this is a good midway point. We also have shadow clarity, and it'll make your shadow more clear in the photo, but I'll get to that when we can actually have the shadow on us here. I can show you here. So shadow clarity, you can see like the less you have, like the details change as you mess with it. The shadow blur as well, like you can see I feel like it blends a bit more and it looks a bit more natural when you mess with your shadow blur. I don't go too far with it, I still keep it kind of in the middle. Same with shadow soften, it just adds to the realisticness if you have it a bit more soft. Blur distance, it'll show how far away you want your shadows to blur, so like the further away it is, the more it'll blur. You have your focal, what is this? FOV cutoff, isn't that field of vision cutoff? Yes, where the viewer will switch between ortho instead of perspective projection. Okay, so right here again, it's all about detail and how you want it. I'm going to keep it like this. And then finally, shade bias. See now, like you can see different shadows forming on the other side. I normally like to keep this pretty low as well. We also have ambient occlusion. This is also very important with your photos. It also adds to the realistic aspect of it. You can kind of see little details the moment I unclick it. I don't recommend messing with the scale too much. The more you do this, the more darker shadows will appear. It'll give you a finer grain on your photos, but it's better kind of to add that to your photos in Photoshop, in my personal opinion. Like, let's see. Oh, because I have it off. Derp. I was like, why isn't it showing anything? Okay, so see right here, it instantly gets a little darker. It does add a realistic note to it, but when you edit it, it isn't super pretty. Like you can see right here, these little grains on the skin. I don't really find that super attractive. So you can mess with it until you find like a texture you like. I normally don't mess with it too much aside from just having it on. We also have our depth of field right here, which is also super important because it also has the view angle option. You can also use Control 0, 9, and the minus button. Oh, 0, 9, and 8. Sorry, 8, 9, and 0. and they can control your view angle. You can see it moving on the photo tools as I click them. I believe 0 resets you to 1047, and then 8 will back you up. Oh, 0 will push you in, 9 resets you. There we go. I think this is very handy for having like a flatter photo and a more realistic look. And I do definitely recommend this when doing with your photos. I feel like this is kind of like the cheat of having a good photo. And then finally, with our Edit Sky preset, it's really good to mess with your angle as well as your daytime on here. You can mess with the ambient color of it. You can mess with how bright you want the sun to show. But the most important part, in my opinion, is having the lighting just right on your face. If you want shadows to show or not, it's always very good to kind of just mess with it and see what you want. So I like this lighting right here, and then I kind of mess with it a little bit to have shadows still on me and playing with the photo. And really the last thing you need to do once you're happy with it is take the photo. I did explain all the rest of these in another video, probably not very well, because a lot of this stuff is just kind of trial and error for me. I don't read the instructions or anything, I just kind of do it. But this is always requested, so I wanted to make sure to at least go over it a bit. And I just feel like this might be a bit too bright, but it's always good to have like a bit of a shadow tone to your photo, and then in Photoshop you can go in later and edit it. I did a photo similar, facing a different way, and that's what I did was I did a bunch of layers that got this tone to the point where it's at, with curves and exposure using dodge and burn tools, and instead of using the what was it called? Ambient Occlusion factor. With the max scale, all I did was add grain to my photo, and I feel like that gave it a more realistic look to it. And that's really it. I don't do too much to my photos for editing. I really just mess with lighting. So I do hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope it's helpful. I'll see y'all later. Bye.